Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome, welcome. Russell Moore coming to you live. We're dedicated to financial literacy. Hey, I'm here. I'm back. I'm back. Hey, two consecutive videos in a row. Huh? Aren't you proud of me? I'm definitely back. Okay. I thought about a couple of things after I did the last video. I said, you know what? I need to probably, because this channel is geared towards newbies, new investors. So a lot of times we throw out terms and assuming that the new investors know what you're saying. But I remember when I was a new investor, I remember when I just started in the stock market years ago, and these terms would come out, especially on CNBC, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And I just wish someone would break it down. Now, I do have a video. I think I'll try to link it out, link it in this video. I do have a video that I did in 2020 that specifically deals with terminology for the stock market. I think you should check it out. It's a really good, especially if you're new to the market. But what I'm going to do, since we're in a downtrend or the market is going down right now, we're in a pullback or correction. I'm going to be talking about more terms at the beginning of my video, just giving you three or four terms of a bear market or a downtrend. Okay, and then if the market goes up, I'll do terms that reflect going up. All right, how about that? Okay, so I'm gonna go quickly over that, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you four things today. That's it, and I'm gonna be out of here. I'm gonna talk about the Nasdaq, just particularly that index, the Nasdaq Composite Index, and then I'm gonna talk about the CPI for a few minutes, and then we're gonna talk about earnings. It's earnings season, and lastly, investment sentiment. And I really felt I want to talk about that a little bit. I'm not going to talk about it long, but a lot of people are being moved and they're investing based on sentiment. Now, I have to say, it's more than sentiment at this moment, at this point. But we got a lot of retail investors that are jumping ship because they're like, oh, hey, we're going down, we're going down. I got to sell everything. And and you know what? Let me tell you something. If your risk tolerance and you're afraid and you're afraid to leave, you're afraid to hang in there and keep your stocks, hold on to them, and even be as bold as I am to add to your position during this kind of a market, then I would suggest, and let me say, I'm not giving you advice. That's my disclosure. I'm not going to tell you what stocks to purchase. I'm not going to do that. I'm not a financial planner or financial expert. I am not. I just am a guy that has been in the market for several years. I've had some success. Granted, I've had some success in the market and I've lost in the market. And so, but I've learned a ton. And so, all I'm trying to do is anyone that's new to the market is thinking about investing in stocks. I want to give you as much knowledge as I possibly can. But I also discuss, too, just getting out of debt. Man, right now, we're everyone's saying we're heading for a recession, a strong recession in 2023. Folks, we're in a recession. I've been saying that for over 6, 8 months. We're in a recession right now. It's a soft recession, and it's a recession in certain sectors or certain areas. It hasn't totally hit the consumer yet. It will, though. Here's when you know that it's hit us, it hit the retailer, when the layoffs begin. When layoffs begin to increase and unemployment goes up. Unemployment right now is at around 3.7. Once it gets past 4% to 5%, look out, look out, consumer recession. Okay, so and I believe that's going to happen towards the first, second quarter of 2023. All right, you'll start seeing a pickup in after Christmas. A lot of, especially retailers and anyone that has to do with so many sectors are dealing with consumer staples and all that. They're going to need extra help for the holidays. But after the holidays, bye bye. So here's my advice to those that are out there and you're employed: do a great job. So when the layoffs do come, and I'm not laughing, when the layoffs do come, they're going to keep the most valuable, productive employees. So if you're showing up late, calling in all the time, especially during the holidays. Everybody's partying and drinking and doing your thing. If you're not showing up and you're late and you're not being productive on that job, you might be the first to go. Don't be the first to go. Don't go at all. Be so productive that they say, wow, that person does the work of 2 to 3 people. We need them. They're valuable. Make yourself valuable during this season, okay? I'm not saying you will totally avoid being laid off, but there's a great chance they'll keep you around, okay? And even if you do leave, your reference would be amazing for your next position. All right. I thought I'd throw that in for free, okay? All right, let me give you a few of the terms. Right now we're in a downtrend. What does it mean, downtrend? Most technical analysts will use that term, trend, a trend. When the market is going on a certain direction, it's trending. So there's a certain trend that it's going down, it's heading in. So whenever you hear the term downtrend, the market is heading down, it's trending down. It seems to be the the majority, the majority of the majority of stock owners are selling. So what's happening is there's an increase in selling. So it's heading down. It's trending down. Got it? I'll give you an example. I remember when I was a kid, Levi's were like, there was a season where Levi's were trending. Everybody was wearing Levi's and Chuck Smith's, Converse, and it was a trend. There was an increase in Levi's being purchased and Converse being purchased. Then there was the Nike trend. I don't know if that's ever died. Michael Jordan, there was a trend, a rush, a herd of people begin to buy Michael Jordans. When you have a downtrend, you have a herd of people selling off. Okay? So you might hear the word correction. A correction is literally where the market drops back, or it's called a pullback. So it's been going up and then it'll correct, it'll drop down. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's a crash. In order for it to be a crash, and let's use that term, the word crash, where you hear the word market is crashing. Um, you're mainly talking about below 20%. When the market is dropped 20% or below, you're pretty much in a what's called a bear market, or it's crashing. Okay? I want to use the term crash though lightly because crash is a little bit more significant. I'll even say go down to 30 to 40%. But uh, so we'll just say a bear market is when that market drops 20% or below. Okay, that's it. I'm just going to give you those few terms. Okay, bear, downtrend, pullback, correction. So whenever you hear that, the market is going back, it's going down. Okay. All right. So that's it for today. All right. Now let's get to what I'm going to talk about today, and that is Nasdaq CPI earnings and investor sentiment. Nasdaq Composite Index. It's really comprised of mostly tech stocks. Okay. Let me give you an example of a tech stock: Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, or Facebook. We previously called it. Um, did I say Amazon? I don't know if I said Amazon. Tech stocks. Okay. Nvidia, AMD, Nasdaq. All right. Now, here's the thing about the Nasdaq. The market would freak out if it saw that the Nasdaq in 1 year dropped 20%. The market would be like, what? The Nasdaq dropped 20%? Wow, that would be a big thing. But let me tell you something. In the last 2 months, the Nasdaq has dropped 20% in 2 months, not a year. Gang, that's no joke. We are definitely, if we're not crashing, we're definitely in a bear market. We're definitely in a bear market. Bear, bull up, bear down. Talking to my newbies out there. Okay, bull means up, it's going up. Bear means down. All right. So now, if you can just see the significance of that, 20% annually, a drop 20% would be absolutely wild. We dropped 20% in 2 months. And let me give you an example of the stocks. The Nasdaq is comprised of about 100 companies. Let me give you some of the companies that have dropped and how much they've dropped. Okay, are you ready? Okay, in 2 months, Meta, Facebook, has dropped 20%. 20%. Tesla, in 2 months, has went down their stock 30%, about 30%. Shopify, 33%. AMD, Advanced Micro, oh my God, devices, Advanced Micro Devices, this semiconductor sector. AMD has dropped 42% in 2 months. I think it's somewhere around $53, $58. Uh, AMD hasn't been that low in several years. 50, I mean, that's a buy. I'm talking buy, 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 buy. As Jim Cramer says, buy, 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 buy. NVIDIA, 40% it has dropped. NVIDIA, another semiconductor. When I mean semiconductor, okay, newbies, chip stocks, selling chips. Chips are in everything. I did my last video talked about chips, and I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Now, get this for all you iPhone lovers, iPad, Apple, 20% in 2 months it's dropped. Wow. You guys, the NASDAQ has dropped. Okay. One day I'll in the future I'll do S&P 500 and I'll also do the Dow. But that should tell you something on where we are with the market. The NASDAQ has dropped 20%. Now let's talk about the CPI for a second. CPI, what is CPI, newbies? Consumer Price Index. The report is coming out tomorrow for I believe it's September. August we were at 8.3%, 8.3, 8.1. There's a core CPI which excludes food and energy. It doesn't talk about food and energy in that index at all. But the CPI, Consumer Price Index, tells us a lot, and it's coming out tomorrow, Thursday. Well, it should be today now. It's 1:30 in the morning, so it's today, later today, around 12:30, probably about 10:30 Pacific time, 10:30, 9:30 Pacific time. The CPI is going to tell us a lot, and it gravely affects the market because Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve, they're looking at those numbers to see if are they making a dent on inflation? Remember, the goal for the Federal Reserve is to get inflation down to 2%. 2%, can you imagine? Get it down to 2? That's not going to happen this year. I don't even think it's going to happen next year. I think at best next year it'll get to maybe the lowest 4 to 5%. They're not really doing much against inflation. They're not winning. They're not winning against inflation. A lot of those companies out there are not budging. They're not dropping their prices. The only thing that's probably being affected is the housing market because the consumer has more control. They're putting the pressure on by not going out and buying, by not going out there and putting out and applying for mortgage loans. Because what did we talk about yesterday? The housing prices are at the mortgage rates are at 7%. And what did I say? I said this about 6 or 8 months ago. I'm not bragging. I'm not a prophet. I said by the end of the year we would be at 8%. that the mortgage rate would get to 8%. We're at 7.4 right now. That's almost 7.5%. And in some cases, so I anticipate by the end of this month, November, we'll be at 8%, just as I said. But I believe it'll drop towards the beginning of next year, maybe the second quarter, into the first quarter. We'll begin to see some softening of those rates. Okay, so but the CPI is coming out tomorrow. Pay attention to that. I think it's going to be above 8.3. I hate that. We're hoping that it'll drop. That means there's a good chance that we can start seeing some deflation. Prices are being dropped. I'm very interested to see the auto industry and the numbers for the auto industry. Housing, gas is back up again. Okay, but we may not see those numbers for September. It's probably going to affect more October numbers for the CPI. Okay, so that's the CPI, and then earnings. Earnings pretty much is kicking off tomorrow. I mean, it started already softly, but the banks are on Friday, so a lot of the banks, J.P. Morgan, I think Wells Fargo, Citibank, I think they're going to give their earnings report, basically quarterly for you newbies out there. Earnings season is basically companies talking about their financials. Did they make money? I'm just going to keep it very practical and simple. Did we make money? Did we lose money that quarter? For the last previous 3 months, did we lose money? And did we lose money or did we make money? And if we did lose money, what were some of the reasons why we lost money? Was it supply chain issues? Did we have a hard time getting things from overseas? Is it just customers? People just aren't purchasing. They aren't buying. They're pulling back. So we'll find out. So the earnings seasons will say a lot because it's telling us what these companies are doing. It's telling us what the consumer is doing. Are we spending? And I really believe that people are pulling back from spending. What will that do? It will force all of these companies to begin to drop their prices. So if you're looking to get furniture, wait. Don't buy any new furniture yet. Why go to Ashley's and buy furniture? Ooh, that was a shot at Ashley. Huh? Wait, the prices will come down. Wait for your home. Prices will come down. So because of sentiment now, people are going to begin to pull back and say, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to let prices go down. So now it's less purchasing is going on. So earnings drop. Okay. So we're going to please pay attention. There's a there's a pretty good site that I rely on. It's called Earnings Whispers on on Twitter. Earnings Whisper, and it'll give you all the earnings for all the different stocks each day. It actually, you can look out a week ahead and it'll tell you each day which companies are reporting their earnings. All right. That's Earnings Whisper on Twitter. All right. Let me just go over it before I go into sentiment. Before I talk about investor sentiment, I want to mention uh, the earnings for a few companies, major companies tomorrow. For the sector, the chip sector, which is I'm really been paying attention to, many of those stocks have dropped. I mentioned earlier, AMD. AMD has dropped 42%. Nvidia, 40%. Major chip stock companies, okay, 40%. And I think they're not done dropping, but they're going to be great buys in the next month or so. They will be great buys. Okay, so keep your eye on that. I'm not telling you to invest in them, but you want to keep your eye on them. Do your research on those companies. They're good, solid companies. They're not going anywhere. Okay, but TSMC reports tomorrow before the open. Before the open. So if you're listening to this video, you're probably too late to get a stock option. But I believe they're going to have great numbers tomorrow. I really believe that. I believe they're going to have a great third quarter. I believe it's third quarter earnings reports tomorrow. Yeah, third quarter. So I believe they're going to have great numbers and they're going to get a bump. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. The bump won't last. We're still in a bear market. Remember, downtrending. Okay, but it will be a good opportunity to make a good profit for a day or two. You know, and then we'll see. We'll see. Depending on the numbers, it could keep trending up. We don't know when the bottom. What I mean by the bottom, when the bear market will end and start heading back up. So when you hear that term, nobody knows when the bottom is. That means the bottom of the bear, the bottom of the downtrend, the bottom of the crash. At one point, it reaches a bottom and starts heading back up. Okay, another company that's giving their earnings report tomorrow is Delta. Delta Airlines. I don't think the airlines is doing that well. I won't be looking to purchase anything. BlackRock. I think under money, cash under they I think I know BlackRock probably assets under management. I think they have exceeded everyone, billions and billions and billions of dollars. Basically, they're an institutional investor. They just own a lot. They're a hedge. They're a fund, a huge fund, and they report tomorrow. Domino's reports tomorrow, and a few others that I'm not going to mention. So, but look out for them. We might get a bump. I'm interested to see what BlackRock is because they purchase a lot of homes. So I want to see. In fact, I want to hear their actual earnings report. So I'll listen to them. I'll listen to TSMC. I'll make sure that I listen to them. And really, you guys, all you got to do is go to their websites. If you want to hear the earnings report, if you want to hear the earnings conference call, go to their website under investor relations. And a lot of times they'll have the recording, even if you don't make it when it happens. I believe BlackRock is reporting after the market close. I don't think they're doing it before. But TSMC, by the way, TSMC is Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company. So they report before the open. So I've already got some shit. I've already purchased some. Hey, let's go, let's go, let's go. All right. So I think that'll be it. Oh, investor sentiment. I didn't touch on that. Real quickly, I'll say this about investor sentiment. Um, People begin to get sentimental and they begin to follow the crowd. And it's like, if everybody's saying the market is going down, then I'm going to follow the crowd and I'm going to get out. It's my sentiment. It's not based on fundamentals. It's not based on technical analysis. Has nothing to do with research. It's about a feeling. If you go by your feelings when it comes to the stock market, you're going to be in trouble. Every time I'm not saying that you won't have a feeling at times. I'm not saying that you won't have a feeling and a different feeling of a direction, but most of the time you want to look at the facts. If a company's doing well, it may drop for a season, but it's coming back. And when it drops, you want to buy on the dip. You want to purchase on the dip. Now, when that dip is for you, you've got to determine that. I can't tell you that. But so let me give you the sentiment right now. As a whole, 55% of people that are investing in the stock market believe it is totally bearish. They're totally bearish on it. They don't want to purchase any stocks. Most people are like, I'm not buying anything that are in that category. 55%. 23% are bullish and 21% is neutral. So that's market sentiment right now. 55% of the people out there are saying, we're bearish, I'm not buying, I'm selling. And then you have 23 that are saying, I'm buying the dip. This is a golden opportunity for me. And then 21 are just undecided. They're neutral. They're like, I don't know whether to buy or not. You better be decisive. If you're neutral, you're not going to make any money during this season, okay? Because even if you're bullish, if you're bullish, you'll be buying right now on the dip. If you're bearish, you'll be shorting or, buying your puts. Not selling, buying puts, put options. Talk about that later. Anyway, I want to thank you guys. I know this was longer than I expected, but I want to say, hey, keep going, hang in there, keep the faith, keep speaking it forth. God is on your side. He's on your side. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.